Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to refute yet another argument that is commonly leveled at proponents of indefinite human life, which I call the argument from motivation. This argument asserts that human beings, if they lived forever, would not be motivated to do much of anything because they don't have the sense of urgency of getting anything done. If they have all eternity to do it, this argument asserts, then they'll just sit around and be idle in the present because they know that they can get around to whatever activity is in question in the future. I believe this argument is false for several extremely important reasons. First of all, this argument presupposes that no person actually enjoys the act of creation more than the act of being idle. But surely, I have not met a single musician who did not enjoy the act of producing music, or a single painter who did not enjoy the act of painting, or a single inventor who did not enjoy the act of inventing. Surely, if a musician did not enjoy the act of producing music, not just the final result, but the process of creation itself, then this person has no business being a musician. He should do something where he actually enjoys the process, and the process doesn't just bring him disutility and stress. Moreover, people don't just enjoy the act of creating something, they enjoy the satisfaction that comes with having accomplished something. And so long as they are idle, so long as they do nothing, try to conserve their energies, they don't get that enjoyment. And eventually, the longer a time they spend being idle, the less marginal benefit they get from every additional moment of idleness, and the greater the marginal cost they incur from the foregone opportunities that they could have been utilizing at that time. So this explains, for instance, why even today, most people would get tired after sitting on the beach for a month. They might enjoy it for the first few weeks. They might consider it a useful respite from their everyday stresses. But then, after a while, it becomes monotonous, and they want to once again get back to work. If they had all eternity to lie around on the beach, I think they would get tired just as fast, if not faster, and want to get back to work. So, it seems that this argument from motivation presumes that work is always perceived to have a disutility that is much greater than the disutility of idleness, which is not the case. The law of diminishing marginal utility would state the contrary. Now, furthermore, let's assume the worst-case scenario, which is that the vast majority of people, once they get to live forever, are indeed idle in this way, at least at first. Now, of course, it would be absurd to assume that everybody, absolutely everybody, would think this way. And really, it takes only one counterexample to turn this scenario into a non-issue. So I'll introduce a counterexample. Myself. I know for a fact that right now, because of the limited time available in my life, I'm not exploring nearly as many fields of human endeavor. I'm not doing nearly as much in terms of a variety of activities as I would have liked to do had I had thousands of years ahead of me. So, if I did all of a sudden have these thousands of years ahead of me, I would all of a sudden invest myself in a much greater variety of activities. And I would do it very fast. And other people who think like me would do likewise, because they would understand the law of compound returns. The law of compound returns applies not just to money sitting in a bank account. It applies to the vast majority of human endeavors that have any kind of tangible byproduct. Let's say you are making a machine. Once you make that machine is capable of doing something. It is capable of making consumer goods, or it is capable of making other machines. And it is capable of making them in a greater quantity than unaided human labor could achieve. Likewise, if you use that machine to make even more machines, then you're going to have even greater productivity later on. And the earlier you start, the more astronomical your gains in productivity can be later on. Now, with regard to compound returns, the difference between waiting 1 year versus waiting 2 years isn't very large. But say the difference if, for instance, you decide to invest something for 4,999 years versus deciding to invest something for 5,000 years, even at a small per annum percentage increase, can be astronomical. It could be in the tens of millions or billions or trillions or even higher orders of magnitude, depending on the initial amount invested. So if I just have a choice of investing my money for 1 year or for 2 years, and I can invest it for 2 years if I start now, or for 1 year if I start next year, it won't make much of a difference to me if the percentage rate increase of my money per annum is not very large. But it would make a huge difference to me at the same percentage rate if I could invest my money now or next year for either 4,999 years or for 5,000 years.